Hello friends, welcome to another fun project for my 12 weeks of Christmas series. Today we have this adorable little shadow box. I'm going to show you what's inside in just a minute. Before we get started, I do want to tell you that it is trash day here, and as soon as I hit record I heard the trash man coming. So if you hear a loud truck in the video in a couple minutes, I do apologize. He comes at a different time every week, so here he comes. But I just want to apologize. Things might get loud in just a minute. But we are making this adorable little shadow box, and I am so in love with these Gingerbread Man dies. So we're using the Gingerbread Man Bundle. We're actually using the whole bundle, and this die set, it is a monster. Look how huge this is. This is one of our normal size stamp sets. It's a gigantic die set. But the thing I love the most, not just the Gingerbread Man, he is adorable, and the stamp set allows you to really customize him. You can add faces, the little gumdrops, the icing. I hear him, he's like right outside the door. So I do apologize, guys. I hope that the video doesn't pick it up too much. But the best thing about these dies is all the little extra pieces. The Gingerbread Man is adorable, and when you die cut him, he actually makes like a little card. So you can make a Gingerbread Man card. But I love the little candy pieces. There's candy canes, little mints, a lollipop, but there's also like a mug, there's gumdrops. You can die cut the faces. Now I've done lots and lots of different projects with the Gingerbread Man dies and the whole bundle all together, and we made the wreath a couple weeks ago. You guys might remember that one. So if you haven't yet picked up that Gingerbread Man bundle, you need to get it. It is amazing, and I really hope this one sticks around because I have just loved it so much. So that's what we're using today. Again, we're not using the Gingerbread Man itself. We're just using all the little candies and stuff because those are super cute, and I can't get enough of them. So that's what we're gonna make today. Now let me show you what's inside. Now, sugar and spice and everything nice. Look what I have inside. I have Tic Tac, nice candy cane flavored Tic Tacs. Aren't they cute? So it's a little shadow box, a little Tic Tacs to fit snugly in here. Now this is just a normal size package of Tic Tacs that the size is the same. You can get this year round. So if you want to save this template to use year round, you absolutely can. Now at the store, where's my other ones? At the store I actually picked up a nice and a naughty one. So there are two different ones. I found these at Walmart, just in the Christmas candy section. I found these at Walmart. So you can choose which one to put in. We're actually going to make ours. We're going to make it exactly the same way, but we're going to use the naughty ones. So, but you can do it any way you want. Okay, so let's start with the actual shadow box itself. Now, I try to make a shadow box I would say at least once a year, because I love them. I think that they are so much fun, and I try to put different things inside the shadow box. Now the technique to make the shadow box is the same every year, of course. Every year I have to make it 3 times because I screw it up 3 times. It's just, sorry, I didn't dig out my scoreboard from under all my candy, so give me just a sec, guys. But every year I screw it up 3 times because I never take into account all the extra measurements. So I have learned that I need to start making prototypes using scrap cardstock. So I did that this year. Thank goodness I didn't waste 3 sheets of regular cardstock. So we have a little prototype of how we're going to cut it and how it needs to be trimmed. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But before we do, to make the box, you're going to need a piece that is 7 7/8 by 8 7/8. So I'm going to read off all the measurements. Hopefully I'll do it correctly as I score it. But if you want to recreate this, please make sure that you check the measurements that are either listed in the video description or that are typed out on my blog, because I always double check to make sure the measurements that are typed are correct. Sometimes when I'm reading them, I don't read the correct ones. So just make sure that you are checking the measurements in the video description or on my blog and not what I am saying. Okay, let's start on the 8 7/8 side. It doesn't really matter what side you start on. We're going to go all the way around anyway. We're going to score it at half, at 1 1/4, 1 3/4, and 2 1/2 on all 4 sides. So we're going to do 4 different score lines on all 4 sides. So half, if I say it 4 times, 1 1/4, I won't score it up, 1 3/4, and 2 1/2. Normally by the time we get to actually filming the video, I'm aware of how to make the shadow box because I've made it 3 times. I've messed it up 3 times. So by the time we get to the video, I could actually do it. 1/2, 1 1/4, 1 3/4, and 2 1/2. And one more side. 1/2, I almost did it wrong. 1 1/4, 1 3/4, and 2 1/2. Okay, now we do need to make a couple little marks, and we're going to do that on the 7 7/8 inside. So we are going to mark at 3 and at, well, we're going to go down to the second score line. So hopefully you can pick this up. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 score lines. I hope the camera's picking that up. We're going to score to the second score line and stop. Okay, these are just going to be cutting guides. So we're going to do that at 3 to the second score line and stop, and at 4 7/8 to the second score line and stop. Oh wait, I did 4. Oh, see, look, I did 4 3/4, 4 7/8. Okay, let me just, I'm gonna try to, which one is the good one? Okay, I'm gonna flip this over, and I'm just gonna try to, I'm gonna go over it with my stylus tool again. You can kind of push it back in. Okay, so 3, stop at the score line, 4 7/8, stop at the score line. All right, now we're going to turn it all the way around to the other 7 7/8 inside, and we're going to do the same thing. 3, stop at the score line, and 4 7/8, stop at the score line. Okay, I'll show you the side because this side is not the messed up side. So hopefully you can see that. So we have those horizontal score lines, and we just stopped. They're just cutting guides, so it's okay. It'll be fine. Okay. That is all of our scoring. So I'm going to put my Simply Scored away and grab your bone folder. For something like this, for a shadow box, you really need to make sure that your lines are nice and crisp, and the way to do that is with a bone folder. So I always talk about how important it is to have a bone folder, and this is one of those times where you really need that bone folder to make things nice and crisp. All right, now we're not going to worry about those little partial score lines. Again, those are just going to be cutting guides. So I'm not going to worry about scoring those or burnishing those. We just want the ones that are going all the way across, the 4 on each side that go all the way across. Now this is a lot of score lines, and so you're going to look at this and go, oh my gosh, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do that. But we're gonna cut it strategically, okay? All right, so I'm going to bring out my little template. So this is my little template. I'm going to lay it on top here. You can see I had to tape it together, see? So you can see how many times I've screwed this up. Okay, so we're going to tape it together. So the 7 7/8 inside is where we have those partial score lines there. So those are the sides that we're going to start at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down the 4th score line. So I'm going to count from the left, 1 2 3 4, and I'm going to cut all the way to the 4th score line, 1 2 3 4. So on that score line, and you can use big scissors if you want, because we're doing a lot of cutting. Okay, so we're going to cut that. Now this little square here, we want to keep that square because that's going to be our tab. So then go over 1 score line, and we're going to cut all the way to the 4th score line. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Okay, I'm going to rotate it, and we're going to cut off this whole panel. So we're going to cut down to the 3rd score line and just cut off this whole corner. Okay, now on this little tab, we're just going to cut at an angle. That's just going to help us glue it later. And then we're going to cut off at the 3rd score line here, just so that we're left with just the little tab. Okay, now on the tab, we're going to angle cut that. Okay, now we're going to come back and do our cutting on these partial score lines in just a minute, but I'm going to do that same thing to every corner. So I'm going to come back over to this corner now, and from the right, we're going to count 4 score lines, 1 2 3 4, and we're going to cut all the way down to the 4th score line. Okay, then we're going to go 1 2 3 score lines, cut all the way down to the 4th score line. I'm going to rotate it, cut off this whole corner to the 3rd score line, cut off that whole corner. I'm going to angle cut this, cut off at the third score line, so we're left with just a little glue tab, and then just angle cut those little tabs. Okay, so that is what we are left with first. Okay, now we're going to rotate it to the other side, and we're going to repeat that same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cut to the fourth score line. Third score line. Cut to the fourth score line. Cut the corners off. Angle. Cut at the third score line. Get rid of that piece. And then angle our tab. All right, and then we have one more corner to do. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice little repetitive pattern here. To the fourth score line, to the third score line, cut all the way to the fourth score line, cut off our corner, angle cut, cut off the 3 tabs, and then angle cut, angle cut. Okay, so let me clean up this trash as much as I can. Okay, so this is what we have so far. All right, now let's do our partial score lines. Okay, so you can see we have those partial score lines here. So let's turn it this way because this is the good side. I can show you. So the partial score lines here. So what we're going to do, and here I'm going to draw it with a pen. If I can find a good pen. Here we go. So we have our score line here. We are going to go at where the score line ends here. I should get like a white pen. Where the score line ends here, we're going to cut diagonally to this corner down here where the next score line is. So do you see how that is? So we're going to cut straight down that score line. When we get to the end of the score line, we're going to go diagonally to the end. Now on this side, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut the score line, but go diagonally the opposite direction. So just like that. Okay, so let's do that. These little marks will be hidden, so it doesn't matter. They'll be on the inside of the box. So we cut down that score line, that partial score line. Then we're just going to cut at an angle until we get to that intersection of the score line and the edge of the paper. I'm just going to trim it just like that. Okay, we'll do this side. Cut down to the score line. And then just kind of turn your scissors and cut it just like that. Okay, and then we're gonna just trim these tabs just like that. So I hope you can see that. Okay, let's do the other side. Go down the score line and cut diagonally. And the same thing on this side, go down that score line and cut diagonally. And then we're gonna miter those corners. Just trim off the little edges there. So this step, what it does, let me show you on our box. It gives you those like, you know, mitered corners on the shadow box to make it look nice and clean. Okay. All right. Let's get rid of all of our scraps. This is what our card looks like, or our box looks like, and looks like we did it correctly. Hallelujah. We can get rid of our little template, but that is what it should look like. So let me get it all on camera. I think there we go. So if you need to take a screenshot of what it's supposed to look like once it's all trimmed up, now would be a good time. I'll just leave this here for just a second. You can take that screenshot or pause the video if you're trimming so that you know what to do. All right, now we're going to add some glue to this. So I'm actually going to flip it over. So the box, we've burnished everything to fold in this way. So we're gonna turn it over. We're gonna add all the glue to this side. So on all 4 of these tabs, I'm using my Stampin' Seal Plus. It's nice and strong. You can use tear and tape, liquid glue. I love liquid glue for boxes, but for a shadow box, I want something that's going to hold instantly and that I don't have to hold. And liquid glue, I'm going to have to hold it and give it some time. So I want something super strong that's going to hold instantly. So on all 4 of these little tabs, I put glue. Now on all the tabs that we, on the very outside that we cut the corners off, I'm going to go and put some adhesive on all of those too. So I'm just going to turn and put adhesive on all 4 of those edges. All right. I'll let's flip this back over so we can start assembling our box. This part is, we're just going to line up this cut edge with that score line, and it's just going to be like a regular box. Just make sure you don't glue everything else to those little sticky parts. All right, just go through. Things should stick really well with the Stampin' Seal Plus. Tear and tape, again, another good option. Okay, so we have our corners all set. So the short sides, I'm going to fold out just a little bit. Now I'm going to, for the long sides, I'm going to fold at the second score line here so that I don't know how to explain this. So this edge right here is going to be flush against the bottom of the box. Okay, so I'm just going to fold on that second score line. See, this adhesive is right here. So it's just flush against the bottom of that box. And then what you're going to do is you're just gonna kind of press it into like a little tunnel, like a tube. And that adhesive will just lay flat against the bottom of the box here, and it'll grab instantly. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So fold on that second score line so that your adhesive is touching the bottom of the box right here. And then you're just going to kind of fold it down so that it adheres to the bottom. Okay, so you have like two little tunnels on each side. And we're gonna do the same thing on this. So we're gonna fold it flat, and because we mitered those little edges, it should just kind of like snuggle in there. And then just kind of press it down, and it should adhere to the very bottom of that box. This is giving you your good shadow box. Now, if you want to, you can add some adhesive just on these little cut edges, on these little miter edges, and that will adhere down to this part. I don't ever do that. I don't really think it's necessary. I've seen people do that. But again, I don't think it's necessary. I think the box stays together and holds together pretty well without having to do that. But if you want some extra security, you can absolutely use like a little glue dot or liquid glue just on those little corners. But that's it. That's our little shadow box. So it looks like a big frame. And I'm just going to go through and just make sure that the adhesive has, grabbed to all of the corners. Perfect. And then our Tic Tacs fit perfectly in here. Now I will say, let me show you, and I'll show you this on my template because I forgot to do this part. I did add little thumb notches. They don't really work. Every year I'm like, I'm going to add some thumb notches. They never really work as well as I think they're going to work. So I've just started to leave them off when I make them because I every year I have the good intention. If you wanted to add the thumb notches, you would do it on this second score line here. So you would fold it in half, just like this, and then punch in through both sections. And then when the box gets assembled like this, you would have those little thumb notches right here. So if you want to do it, it's on that second score line from the edge. So first score line, second score line, fold, do the punch. Again, I left that off because it doesn't really help you out anymore to get it out than just, pulling it out. So personal preference there, whatever you want to do. All right, so we have our box nice and assembled. Now before we put our Tic Tacs in, let's do our belly band. That's easier to do before we start assembling it. So I have the Strawberry Slush two-toned cardstock here. So it's dark on one side, light on the other. If I fold it like this, you can really see the differences. So we're actually going to do the dark side out. Our two-toned cardstock is not as thick as our regular cardstock, but it's slightly thicker than our DSP. So it's somewhere in the middle between our DSP and our regular cardstock. So it works well for a belly band. I'm not going to score it. I'm just going to go through and pinch it because it's a little bit thinner. It gives us that opportunity to do that. This belly band is 4 by 8.5. And so I'm just going to start on the back, and I'm just going to try to make sure that it's as straight as possible. And I'm going to just kind of fold it over, and I'm going to give it a really good pinch along the corner of the box, just like that. And we're just going to keep folding it over. And I'm going to give it a good pinch on the side of that box. But doing it this way, I mean, if you were to score it, you'd have to score it down to like the 1/16 of an inch, and that just gets a little bit more complicated than I want it to be. So by just wrapping and pinching this way, I think it works really well, and this is how I've always done belly bands. So, and on that last edge, we're just going to, again, wrap and pinch. Now, we're going to reinforce all those pinch lines a little bit more, so grab your bone folder, and this will be your opportunity. If you need to straighten anything up, you can, but just fold it on that pinch line and then give it a burnish with your bone folder. And then if anything is off, you can straighten up the top and the bottom so that everything is nice and straight once we adhere it down. So just fold this over, and one more. Okay, so there's our belly band, and we're going to just kind of wrap it around our box and just make sure that the box slides in and out, which it does. So let's put some glue on this now. So we're going to wrap this like this. So on the top piece, we're going to put a line of adhesive on the light part of our paper. So it's going to wrap like this. So I want to put a line of adhesive on the edge of this dark piece so that once it wraps up, everything lines up together. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over, put the one with adhesive up first, and then wrap this with adhesive down, and we have our belly band. So slide our box out and give that a good press. And slide our belly band back in, and perfect. So it's like a little matchbook. Now we can put our Tic Tacs in. Perfect. All right, let's decorate this thing up. I have some, let's do some DSP first. All right, the DSP that I'm using is from the Christmas Tags and More DSP. This is a 6x6 stack. I've gone through at least 2 packages of this, maybe more. There are fantastic pages in here where you can, just trim this up for different tags. Now, we're going to use this DSP a couple more times before this 12 Weeks of Christmas series is over. So if you have yet to grab yourself one of those packages, make sure you do, because we're still going to be using it. All right, so I'm using this little soft seafoam diamond pattern. So I'm going to put this piece on. Measurements for all these DSP pieces are in the video description. Again, make sure you look at those. This one is 3 3/4 by 2 5/8, and then these little pieces for the sides are 7/8 by 3 3/4. I didn't do a piece for the back. If you wanted, you could do a piece of white cardstock or something if you wanted to write a note or to from, whatever you want to do. I didn't do anything on the back, but you could cut up another piece of DSP. Or, like I said, a little white piece to stamp a little to from. That would be the same size as this one. So I'm just going to go around, just making a fun little background. All right, perfect. Just like that. We're going to add some ribbon. This is the Strawberry Slush faux linen ribbon, I think. Yeah, faux linen ribbon. Strawberry Slush. We're just going to wrap this around and tie it. Now, they're not going to have to untie the ribbon to get into their treat because, again, it slides like a little matchbook. So the ribbon is just going to be for decoration. And I can't tie it on the spool, so I'm going to have to cut it off. All right. And, oh my goodness. Oh, ribbon. Tying ribbon on camera. You guys, it's a lot of pressure to tie ribbon on camera. That's all I'm going to say. I try to do bows if I can do them ahead of time. I try to, because tying a bow on camera is just a lot of work. It's a lot of pressure. Added pressure that we don't need this time of year. So there we go. Looks okay. This tail's a little long. We'll trim that. All right, so we have our little bow on the side. Lovely. All right, let's put our ribbon away. I'll do that later. Okay, let's work on our little embellishments here. So I have a little stack of embellishments here. I have a little label that I have die cut from the Branching Out dies, and I ran it through the So Swirly embossing folder. I don't know, there, now you could pick it up. So this is, I think, the second smallest one. Now I've already done some die cutting for my candies. We're going to need 2 of each. So I've already fully assembled one of the candy cane and one of the mint. The candy cane is white cardstock and the same Strawberry Slush 2-tone. So you have the darker one on the back and the lighter one on the front. We're going to use the lighter one for the candy cane so that you can see the color will still coordinate, but it's just going to be a little bit little bit lighter so it stands out more. For the little mint, you know, I have the little base cut out of basic white, and then I cut the little swirls both out of Shaded Spruce and Soft Seafoam. Okay, so let's adhere our candies together real quick. For this, we're going to use liquid glue. If you wanted, you could die cut them onto adhesive sheets. Like these little swirl pieces would be great on adhesive sheets. Just peel it off and go. So I'm going to start with my soft seafoam. I'm just putting a little dot of glue on each of those little swirls. And I'm just going to place it down. I'm holding it with my tweezers because it's very small. It's a little bit finicky too, so I'm just going to use my tweezers to hold everything down. I'm going to grab my Shaded Spruce one and do the same thing. Add some adhesive to the little pinwheel pieces. And then this one we're just going to stagger ever so slightly, just kind of stagger it. Just stagger it. With the liquid glue, you'll get a second to kind of move it around so that you can get it exactly where you want it. But then you have like that two-toned little minty candy. So cute. All right, for the candy cane, again, you could use adhesive sheets on this. It's your choice if you want to do the white for the bottom or the top. I don't really know that it matters, but I'm doing it for the top. But again, you can grab an adhesive sheet and that would give you some easy adhering. Okay, just going to wiggle that into place and we have our sweet little candy canes. We have our mints. All right, let's do our stamping for our greeting. This is gonna be a long video, guys, sorry. Shadow boxes always take a little bit more time. I have a banner that I've die cut from the Stylish Shapes dies. Shaded Spruce ink. We're gonna do that same greeting even though our Tic Tacs inside are the naughty Tic Tacs, but you can make a whole bunch of these and then nobody will know if they're getting the naughty or nice ones. It would be super cute little Christmas party or little gift for coworkers or something. It'd be really cute. Okay, so I didn't stamp that great, but it's okay. All right, now our tag, you know, I wanted to have like an even border all the way around. The smallest one was just too skinny. It wouldn't work. And this one, if we put it on, you can see there's not a good border on the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to cut this thing in half, or just kind of eyeball half-ish. And on the back of our little greeting, we're going to just re-adhere it together to make it what we want, to make it the size we want. So I'm going to do it a little bit straighter than that. So I'm going to lay this top one. So I've glued on the bottom one. I'm going to lay the top one on kind of where we want our border to go. So we want like an even border. And then I'm just going to kind of pick that one up. And then we can just adjust it if we need to. I think that looks okay. Stick that back down just like that. Just kind of eyeball everything. Looks good. Okay, so we've just modified our little tag. Nobody will know the difference. And we're going to put dimensionals on the back of this. And there we go. Put dimensionals on the back, and then we'll adhere this onto our box. And you can use that same technique for a card. If you want that label to be just a little bit smaller, just cut it in half. Hide the seam behind it and it's fine. All right, for our little mints, I'm gonna put dimensionals on the back of these so they're ready to go. These will go on with dimensionals. And then our little candy canes, we are just going to kind of tuck them. So I'm gonna trim this a little bit, just trim this edge. And I'm gonna use my liquid glue again. And just a little bit of glue just on the back. I'm just going to kind of tuck that under, just like that. Again, nobody's going to know that we've kind of manipulated these to what we want it to look like. The other one, I'm going to have come pop out the bottom down here, so I'm going to trim that bottom off. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not putting any adhesive on the little hook part. That way they have a little bit of movement, a little bit of dimension there. Okay, there, and we can add our candies on. Don't cover up your greeting. I'm gonna put it like under the little hook part of the candy cane, slide it up under there. Okay, oops. Just don't cover your greeting. I just said don't cover your greeting, and then I covered my greeting. And then this one, let's put it like that. Oh, it's too far over. Let's go this way. We'll go down a little bit further. And maybe lift up the little top of the candy cane. There we go. Lovely. All right, let's finish this off. My glue away. I have these beautiful, these are delightful decorative dots. I believe these are in our mini catalog. They might be an online exclusive, but I'm pretty sure they're in our mini catalog. I love this like green one. So pretty. And I'm going to do 5 of these. This is a box. You're not going to mail it, so you can really go a little bit heavier with the embellishments. And I love like the shine you get on these. They are a little bit big. They would be great for cards. I love the shine you get on them, but they are a little bit big, and I think that the post office would not appreciate them. They're a little bit bigger, but they are so pretty, and I really, really love them. But all right, guys, that is it. That is our shadow box, our Gingerbread Man candy shadow box, our naughty and nice Tic Tac shadow box. I hope you guys love this. Make sure that you give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do that so you never miss a video. We are down to the final weeks of our 12 weeks of Christmas series, and I have all treat boxes for the rest of the series. So make sure you keep checking back every Sunday for the next video in the series. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye.